Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
This is Sunbelt Commissioner Keith Gill, and I listen to the Funbelt Podcast.
If you didn't know before, now you know why they call this the Funbelt.
I'm very excited about the Sunbelt.
You know, while other conferences have been breaking up, our conference has become stronger.
The state of Sunbelt football is the strongest in our history.
I saw Funbelt Conference, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I got to join the show. It sounds a lot of fun.
Good evening. Welcome back to Funbelt Podcast from the Believe Network. My name's Jeremy Harper from HowlRaiser.com. With me is Shane Metlin from the Daily News Report, the much maligned and hated Shane Metlin. Everybody's on his case. We'll discuss a little bit about that. And Dusty Thibodeau from the Warhawk Report. Everybody loves Dusty Thibodeau. Dusty doesn't make any waves. He's friends with everybody. The SIDs love him. The athletic directors adore him. The athletes think he's a god. Nobody has a problem with Dusty, but Shane, oh my God, why does everybody have a problem with you right now?
I apparently was trying to turn game day into January 6th.
Oh my God.
I think that was what I was trying to do.
So wait, why are you moving game day to January 6th?
I don't know.
The last of the major pro sports league kicks off this week, and BetOnline is your top spot for all your NBA action this season. With MLB, postseason, NFL, and college football, and NHL in full swing, BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. Get everything NBA at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access for every sport, anytime. Head to your BetOnline today to get on the action. Don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So this is all stems from the James Madison being denied by the NCAA for a waiver to play in postseason, which means no Sun Belt Conference Championship, no bowl game, no New Year's Six game, no rankings on the committee's rankings. It's all for naught. When ESPN Game Day said they were coming to Harrisonburg, I thought, well, that's it. That's the sign. That's the signal that they were going to get that waiver. I mean, why would ESPN even be going to Harrisonburg if they did not have some inside information that would say, yeah, the Dukes would be getting that waiver, but they didn't get it. And now, Shane, there is an uproar.
Yeah, there is. There's also probably a lawsuit coming, so it'll still be lots of fun. My job, so
I hear the state of Virginia might be doing a little lawsuiting. Is that right?
That's where it looks like it's going. Okay. If there's not a change by noon tomorrow, or maybe today by the time people listen to this, who knows? Friday, noon right. Friday, Eastern time. Not American
because we never know when Jeremy's going to edit and put the show up.
It could be next week.
So
that's true.
We'll see.
Yeah, so, there does seem to be two camps. There's the camp that says, hey, rules are rules, JMU, and you need to follow. And the other camp, and I'm in this camp, guys. I'm in the camp that says JMU being recognized this season for their accomplishments is good for JMU, but also good for the Sun Belt. How often do we have this opportunity to have a team that's playing to a level to where we can get this type of exposure, and we can't have it because of some Byzantine rule that was probably made up at the time that the forward pass was illegal. Thibodeau, what do you think about this? I mean, you're the no waves guy. Everybody likes you. Say the words that makes sense for everyone.
Everybody but one South Louisiana athletic director like me, and I don't know why.
You got something?
I like to think of this.
Okay.
The Sun Belt already has the precedent to tell the NCAA to shove their rules, change it. Our champion needs to be in the postseason. Prime example, year number 1 of the good old Fun Belt, a 5-6 North Texas champion team had to get a waiver to be able to go to New Orleans and get drummed by Cincinnati.
Wow.
But they still fought the fight to get the waiver and into the postseason.
Wow. So they earned the waiver.
They earned the waiver.
That would be like, what, 2003 or something crazy?
1, but yes, that was close.
I was close. Wow, you dug deep into the archives for that. So yeah, so precedent has already been broken. I mean, or the rules in some ways have been broken. Why can't they be broken now? Shane, what are you hearing from JMU fans right now?
A lot of like what you're saying is like, why is there a waiver process if this is going to be denied? Shouldn't this have been a slam dunk waiver situation? Basically, it's kind of like what the JMU fans have had to say all along. And, I think a year ago, 20 years ago, like we were just talking about, it would have been like, you got a relatively new president of the NCAA who came in. One of the first things he did was say, we're giving out too many waivers, whether we're talking about transfers or this kind of thing, or, eligibility, a lot of things. And, maybe that's right. But, sort of like, I mean, and not to the degree like Tez Walker at UNC, like the argument there was like, oh, he transferred before they said like they're not going to accept any 2-time transfers. And JMU transitioned kind of like under the understanding, hey, here's a lot of the things you need to do to get this waiver. And they felt like they did them, and then had a new group of people kind of say, that's not the way we do things anymore. So I understand the disappointment on their side. I understand people who are like, hey, this has been a rule for a long time. Like, I think reasonable people can disagree on, what ought to be done. Self-interested people, though, I would think if you're in the Sun Belt over the long term, I think you got to kind of look at it. Hey, getting somebody into that New Year's Six game is a huge deal, not just because of the money, just because, next year we saw it once the American kind of became the conference that typically got their team in. It seemed like, hey, the favorite in the American or the team that's first in the American kind of just got slotted there for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And I think,
where it is now, right?
The Sun Belt has been catching that league for a long time. They need that thing to push them over the hump to where, like, when you go into looking next year, you're kind of wondering, we're talking about a group of 5 teams. I wonder who's going to win the Sun Belt.
Maybe in some ways, Commissioner Gill's relieved, Thibodeau, that this hasn't happened, because look what happened once the Americans started getting these NY6 bowls and actually got into the college football playoffs. All of a sudden, all his teams got poached.
Well, but how much of this do you think also, while I haven't really seen anything, Shane, where it's been Commissioner Gill, Bourne, the athletic director, anyone really pushing it, but how much do you think maybe behind the scenes Gill's kind of maybe hitting the panic button or hand hovering over the panic button, because this might be the best shot for a while that the Sun Belt really has to have that New Year's Six invite?
I think you never know. I mean, this league is going to beat itself up most years. And you did get this one year where one team kind of separated itself, and it happened to be the one that wasn't eligible. There's no reason to think JMU won't be very competitive for a long, long time. But, you can't count on this kind of season happening very often. They've had some luck along the way. A team like App State has had some bad luck along the way. And that's just the way seasons normally go. I mean, it's a balanced conference that, as we've seen most of the time, hands each other a few losses that you aren't expecting. And the only way to overcome that is to be kind of considered the best league. And at some point, you got to break through.
I think Atlantis Morissette warned us. I mean, isn't it ironic? It's the free ride after you've already paid.
Here's Dusty Thibodeau once again appealing to the young fans of the Sun Belt, referencing a 25-year-old song. But I will say this. Okay, so doesn't this give Signetti, though, just another chip to add to his shoulder of chips? I mean,
it's another line to his resume when he leaves.
or that. I didn't want to mention that, but yeah, he could be leaving. But that's how Signetti works, right? He finds some sort of slight to his team, to the character of his team. And he's like, all right, I'm going to use that as radioactive fuel to propel my next championship run.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been unbelievable how he's managed his team so far this year. I mean, every coach, every program, every player can go up to the press conference and say, all we're worried about is going 1-0 this week. And they all say that, but there's really been that buy-in at JMU, and they've legitimately had that focus every week. And you kind of just wonder, as they pile on something different every week, at some point, something's either going to have them come in with a big head or have them deflated at some point, right? They're human, but so far they haven't really acted that way.
Well, that's all good for James Madison. That is a big wad of Christmas lights for them to untangle as the weeks unfold. But right now, the Sun Belt has other Christmas light strands to untangle, including volleyball. The volleyball tournament for the ladies is in full swing. We've already had some programs get eliminated, including programs like Georgia State, who my Red Wolves beat. Thibodeau, why don't you give us a quick report?
Arkansas State and App State first-round winners over Georgia State, ULM, respectively. Then Arkansas State, App State, both dispatched by Georgia Southern and Troy, again, respectively. The Raging Cajuns swept Old Dominion. Ooh. And that is it. That is final in the Sun Belt Conference Championship. ESPN Plus, you'll get to see South Alabama, Coastal Carolina, James Madison, Texas State, along with the winners from today's games.
Do you ever just hit the ESPN Plus and watch a little bit of ULM or JMU or any Sun Belt volleyball?
I do. I was watching earlier. I was watching Troy and App State. And
go ahead.
Troy looked good. App State, not so much.
Here's what I noticed about volleyball is that it's very stressful to watch because the lead changes just happen so rapidly. It's you could have a team that's comfortably ahead, by 3 points. You think, okay, well, this team looks like they're on their way to win this game. And then suddenly they're down by 5. But that's not a big deal because then suddenly they'll be back up by 1. I remember watching last year, Red Wolves actually got into the finals, even though they didn't have a great season. It was very exciting to watch. But by the end of it, Arkansas State ended up losing the game. I was worn out. I was just a jello mold of emotions.
Yeah, and volleyball is exciting too because of the way they break it down into sets. Like you're saying, you get up by 5 and it feels like a big lead, but it's not like in a basketball game where you win the one quarter by 5 and you win the next quarter by 7, and all of a sudden you're pretty comfortably ahead. You totally reset it, and it's
that's another good point because you could lose a set 21-6. And then it's okay. You can just go back.
You're totally starting over, in set 2.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. So it's stressful as a fan. I don't know how diehard volleyball fans aren't in some sort of blood pressure study because that was really hard for me to watch. So also a little bit of men's soccer news. Shane, maybe you can kind of catch us up to speed on what is probably the best men's soccer league in all of college football, the Sun Belt. College football. Soccer. Yeah, football.
Yeah, it's up there. The ACC got 8 teams in.
Okay.
I had to look it up because somebody asked me if Sun Belt's 5 was the most, and it was not. But they're up there. Okay. But it's opening night of the NCAA tournament.
All right.
There were 2 Sun Belt teams playing on opening night. Yeah. I think the rest kind of got buys.
Oh, okay.
Being high-seeded teams. Marshall is the number 1 overall seed.
Oh, they can just
in the tournament. Yeah. But to start it off, James Madison with a 3-2 victory over Pitt to advance. They're going to face Georgetown. That's a rematch of a regular season match.
All right.
So we'll see if the Dukes can reverse their fortunes against the Hoyas. They didn't beat them in the regular season, but we'll see. And then where is it? Kentucky.
Yeah.
Long time legacy Sun Belt member Kentucky.
That's right. When people think of Sun Belt soccer, they think Kentucky.
Kentucky with a 2-0 victory over Xavier, so they're advancing too. So basically that puts 5 Sun Belt teams into that second round. 5 teams in, 5 teams still playing. Power conference.
All right. Well, good for Sun Belt soccer. Well done. Well played. So basketball's still, in full dribble, got a full slate of games. I don't feel like we've had, unless you're Oregon State, which has the distinction of taking 2 Sun Belt teams to overtime to get their wins. Appalachian State being the most recent program. I think Troy was the first. I don't feel like Sun Belt basketball, aside from JMU beating number 4 Michigan State and then coming away with the Kent State win, hasn't quite come up with the big victories yet. Have you guys noticed that? Is it just me seeing this? Am I Jeremy Downer here?
It's early season. I mean, you're playing the likes of Tougaloo, Xavier, Louisiana, Champion Baptist, I think, has made the rounds.
All right. Yeah, I like those guys.
I don't really read too much this early on. Like you said, it's kind of a big deal there that James Madison got those 2 wins. That ULM win over Central Michigan's looking better and better as the Chips went and beat South Florida. So, it's I think some what do you want to call it, twice removed wins maybe that are kind of gaining steam.
Yeah.
Thanks to that SBC MAC challenge. But yeah, we're really lacking those big mid-major wins outside of the challenge.
Yeah, that's true. But, you're right. We've just started. I ventured up to Jonesboro on, God, what day was that? What day is it today? I guess it was Tuesday. Went up to Jonesboro on Tuesday, caught my Arkansas State Red Wolves play. I welcomed in Alcorn State. They ended up.
Fantastic.
That's right. 100-86 victory over them. It was a fun game to watch. Red Wolves are going to be playing really fast this year. It's going to be sort of hit or miss though. I think they chucked up something like 46 3-pointers in the victory. So you live or die by the 3. So we'll just have to see about that. But guys, the basketball's to come. But right now it's Thursday night. We're recording on Thursday night. There's no Thursday night Sun Belt games. Thank God, no Tuesday night Sun Belt games. We're all on Saturday. We've got some out of conference games, which is always weird to me to see on the schedule when it's this late in the season. It's like takes you by surprise. You're like, what's LSU doing here? But here they are. It's coming. I think, guys, unless you guys have any other order of business, it's time for second and short.
You have one more.
Okay. Oh. Okay,
I have one more thing.
Put away the gong. Hang on. Let me put it away. All right. The gong has been put away.
So we know last year there was the big brouhaha over the illegal insider information betting on SEC baseball.
Yeah. Alabama.
To protect, I wouldn't call it names, Jeremy.
All right.
To protect the integrity of the game and in the Sun Belt Conference, the conference has actually aligned itself, partnered with U.S. Integrity and ProAbet that basically allows the software monitoring to look for those bets to basically act as that back end to trigger the alerts if there is maybe a large sum of money being bet on Arkansas State from one Jeremy Harper or that there was something like that to really protect the integrity of the game, because we can't all be James Madison that just goes out bending and breaking the rules. We all got to be law-abiding citizens and gamble responsibly.
Have you noticed too that ESPN has launched their own online betting service, and I find that to be a little squishy, guys. When you have somebody who's so deeply enmeshed in sports, and now they're running a betting service. I don't know what to think about that, guys.
I don't know anything about that because we are happily, merrily sponsored by Bet Online.
Oh, you know what, Dusty? That is the online platform for betting that I personally use, and I'm doing pretty well this week. Put in some money on some of my favorite teams, and I hope they come through.
I wish I lived in a place where it was legal.
Yeah, well, you live in Texas where everything is legal but that. You can carry a gun in public and start shooting people up, but nope, you can't make an online bet.
Or have a beer before noon on Sunday, or liquor at all on Sunday.
Oh yeah, we have that in Arkansas. That's a little one. Anyway, guys, let's get this back on track. Second and short. Are we ready for it, guys? Guys, are we ready to offer penetrating analysis that only we at the Fun Belt podcast can offer?
There's only one game that matters this weekend.
Oh, okay. What's that?
I mean, College Game Day's there. Shane Metlin will be there. I saw somebody from Barstool as the guest picker.
Well, Shane
the
actually,
Jonas Brothers.
Listen, is Shane going to be there, though? Because for his protection, he should probably be watching from a remote location, maybe beneath bulletproof glass. I don't know, Shane. I'm just spitballing here. I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about your protection.
I'm going to do everything I can to be safe. There may be some Kevlar involved.
Now, Tibbs, this is the reason why
my bodyguards have been brought in.
Noah Fleischman does not count as a bodyguard.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He looks like a guy who's kind of small, but actually really tough. So I bet he'd be a good bodyguard. Hey, listen, Tibbs, are you like trying to derail second and short a little bit because the first game is the ULM game? Is that what's going on here?
I mean, technically, if you want to go alphabetical, Army hosting Coastal Carolina is always a earlier game.
Okay, I just feel like you're a little trepidatious, like you've been hurt, and you're a little afraid of second and short.
The SEC Network or SEC Plus will have the in-state Mississippi State head coachless versus Will Hall.
Saturday, November 18th, ULM 2-8 at number 13, Ole Miss, who's 8-2, like the polar opposite of ULM. 11 a.m. on the SEC Network. The Black Bear Land Sharks are the 37-point favorite. The Warhawks began the season a tough nut opponent. Really just some bad luck away from having a winning record, but of late haven't seemed to have that same fire that they had before, although they are the only Sun Belt team to have put 2 touchdowns on Troy. Is ULM going to challenge that massive Vegas line, Thibodeau?
Let me read to you an article that I was interviewed for the Daily Journal, which is in Oxford, Mississippi.
All right.
The question: if ULM is going to come to Oxford and upset Ole Miss, blank has to happen. My answer: this feels almost like a cliche country song. You lost your dog, your truck broke down, the trailer's falling off the blocks. ULM's kicker's hurt. The QB play is iffy. Players are quitting, and then a 2-8 gets to play an 8-2 team that's coming off of a huge loss to Georgia. Yeah, I would parlay the spread and the over to pay for a nice Abner spread.
Okay, Shane. Listen, we've heard this sad country song from Thibodeau before. Is it time to start listening to the lyrics and embracing them?
I'm not even sure what that question means.
The question does ULM is ULM in as bad a shape as Thibodeau is implying with that sad answer that he had?
I understand where Thibodeau's coming from, and ESPN's giving them a 1.1% chance of winning that game. But you look at it, we're talking about Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They've got a good record.
They do.
But They squeak by a bad Arkansas team. They squeak by a Texas A&M team that just fired their coach.
Wow.
So maybe they only win by like 30 or so.
Okay. Yeah, I would put a bet online $5 bill on that outcome. Thibodeau who are we gonna see behind center? Is it gonna be Wright or is it gonna be Blake Edwards?
Jai Wright. I think they're saving Blake Edwards because he's at the cap.
Okay.
Where the Warhawks can play him in the season finale against Lafayette and still hold on to the red shirt, but you can't have him go into the game against the Black Bear Rebels, Land Sharks, and Lafayette and still hold on to the red shirt, which obviously Blake Murphy, 99%, that's your quarterback of the future.
The 114 degree or dimension chess match that is keeping red shirts. I get it. Next game, the same time, but happening on the CBS Sports Network. Coastal Carolina, they're coming at 7-3. Suddenly, the hottest team in the Sun Belt East, going against this. This seems like some sort of Groundhog's Day, going up against Army. 11 a.m. Sports Network. Chanticleers with the 4-point advantage here. It seems to me like maybe the new slogan for the Black Knights needs to be, "Thank you, Sunbelt, may I have another." This will be like the third time that Army has dipped into the Sunbelt schedule and looking to get yet another beating. Already beaten by ULM, already beaten by Troy. Here they are. They're coming to welcome in the Chanticleers, who are playing hot. Doesn't matter who's quarterbacking them. Shane, Army is only a 4-point dog here. Does somebody know something about Army that we don't know? Except we do know that they've had this 2-game win streak.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe Vegas is still just not sure about the Coastal quarterback situation. Likely playing their third-string quarterback again, though. I feel like he's proven himself. I'm not worried about them quarterback-wise. So the line surprised me a little bit. Maybe it's just, also you always wonder about the team that gets Army thrown into the mix late in the season where all of a sudden you're completely shifting gears. Although it's not the same triple option Army of years past. So I don't know. The line does surprise me a little bit.
Thibodeau, you're kind of a low-key fan of the Black Knights. The Black Knights are coming over with wins against the Air Force and then squeaking through Holy Cross. Does Army have maybe a little momentum coming into this game?
And it's at home. You better believe they do. I thought it was interesting, though, in the Coastal Carolina game notes, QB1 listed as Grayson McCall. But I also saw the article that was done with him where he was really questioning what's next. Is he done playing in the Till and looking forward to the possibility of being drafted, or is he trying to maybe do a little bit of both and showcase that he can come back, that he still has it for the shots, and maybe falls a little bit in his draft stock, not able to perform as well. But I think that's pretty interesting. But as Shane said, I think regardless of whoever's behind center, all three of their quarterbacks are great and give them just as good of an option. I think it's a touchdown different game. The shots get the nod in my book over Army. Army hasn't really shown me where they've been consistent. I know that they do have this modest little streak going on, but I still think back to week 1 when the Warhawks were able to pretty soundly defeat them. And so I like the shots to carry the banner for the Sun Belt.
Yeah, I agree. I think you got that. Hit that nail right on the head. Also at 11. Everything's happening at 11 o'clock, guys. A little in-state matchup. Southern Miss at 3-7. They're playing at Mississippi State, the Bulldogs. They're 4-6. On the SEC Network Plus. Is that like the SEC Network and then you have to pay a little extra to get this game? Kind of like Big Ten Plus?
It's the alternate feed.
Okay. Oh, it is.
Because on the main are the Warhawks, Jeremy.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll get to the Warhawks. I haven't forgotten about them.
Even though we already have, but okay.
Yeah, I actually did forget about them. I've immediately forgot about them. The Bulldogs are 14-point favored. Listen, forget the record. This is a new Golden Eagles team, right? They've risen from the ashes of sort of a horrendous season. Ever since Will Hall unceremoniously fired Will Hall from play calling duties, Southern Miss has found its new offensive mojo. Frank Gore Jr. is a man on fire. He just seems to be running for yards and touchdowns at an amazing clip. Meanwhile, the Bulldogs, they still have a shot at a bowl. They're two games down. This is not a meaningless game for them. They're going to have to fight if they want that bowl eligibility, which I don't ever know if that's something that SEC teams really fight for anyway. However, there's some positive energy that is surging throughout the Golden Eagles. I throw it to you, Tibbs. Is there an upset brewing with Southern Miss?
Look, I love the Golden Eagles.
I know you do. Yeah.
You never pick against a team that just fired their coach. Because for one game, they are magical. They have hope. They have dreams. They have everything that you want from the preseason on for that one game. Yeah. And it just so happens that Southern Miss is coming in on the heels of Mississippi State firing their coach. Bulldogs win, but I like the Eagles in it.
All right. Do you share that same feeling that Thibodeau has, Shane?
He's got a point about the firing coach. You tend to see them. You tend to see those teams rise to the occasion for at least a week, but the Warhawks, the Eagles.
We're playing both games.
I apologize. They've won 2 in a row. They were fairly convincing. Mississippi State, you can see why they fired their coach. They're on a losing streak. Even before that, like I mentioned, a bad Arkansas team. They squeaked by them. They weren't that impressive beating a team from the MAC. There's a chance here for Southern Miss. That's a huge game for a lot of the people on that sideline. They can pull out all the stops because this is really what they have left to play for this year is to beat an in-state SEC team. Yeah. We might see Kurt Signetti talked about UConn bringing the bag of tricks when they didn't have anything to lose. Let's see what kind of bag of tricks Will Hall has, and let's see them pull off an upset here.
I tell you, there's a lot of reasons Southern Miss wants to win this game. There's in-state pride. They have nothing else left but this game, right? I mean, this is the game for them. And you got to
salvage the season by beating this team.
And maybe Will Hall salvages some of his reputation too. I mean, do you not just kind of forget about the rest of the season with the boosters and the fan base at Hattiesburg? If you're like, yeah, we took care of Mississippi State, I think that probably goes a long way with restoring some trust. So you know what? I have actually picked Southern Miss to win this game outright. So I'm putting it all on the line here. Did you
drop some coins on it?
$10. I got $10 on this game.
Ooh, big money.
I'm just I don't get paid much from this podcast. All right, so then there's this other game, Appalachian State at James Madison. But after that, it's Texas State at Arkansas State. All right, well, should we go back to the other game? Should we go back? I think we should. You guys didn't help me at all with this bit. Maybe I should let you know beforehand. But here we go. I was pretending like it wasn't a big game, but it is. Appalachian State 6-4, already bowl eligible at James Madison, 10-0. Technically, kind of bowl eligible, not going to a bowl. 1 p.m. ESPN Plus. Dukes are a 9-point favorite. College College game day coming to campus. This is nothing new for Appalachian State or James Madison, but it's the third time in 4 years that game day has come to a Sunbelt campus. It's always pretty cool. It's always great exposure. There's going to be a little tension in the air, a little fire in the air, because one, Appalachian State and James Madison don't always, mix very well. And two, there's this NCAA denial of waiver that's probably stuck in the craw of many Dukes fans. I don't know. What are we going to say out of this game, Shane? Appalachian State RA Bowl eligible? James Madison kind of just playing to stick a cigarette in people's eyes? What's the motivation here?
It was interesting you say fire in the air because we literally do have at least smoke in the air. There's wildfires all over the place. It's been hazy here lately. So great conditions for the game day guys to roll into town. But
they'll be wearing masks. That'll be great.
But no, I think this game's going to go one of two ways. Like, I think if JMU wins, I think they're going to win handily because they've just soaked up all of that inspiration that we've been talking about.
Okay.
But I also think there's a distinct possibility that this is the game that gets them. I think, App State's been playing better. I think sometime something's not going to go right for JMU. Uh-huh. Eventually, the breaks they've caught, the breaks they've made for themselves too, but eventually they're going to have a game where just a lot of thing kind of piles up on them. And I think App State's too good if that happens this week. They're playing too well. Joey Aguilar's turning into a really good quarterback. I think it's a little bit of a danger zone for JMU. And
I can't tell.
Very tempted to pick the upset.
Yeah, I can't tell if you are maybe trying to I don't know, smoke the peace pipe with the people of Boone, or if you're just doing a little reverse psychology. We do know that James Madison's really good, but also we do know Appalachian State's really good. Listen, Thibodeau, I gave up on this team. I think I put the burial dirt on this team several weeks ago when Old Dominion beat them. I was like, Appalachian State is dead. Now here they are, right behind Coastal Carolina, trying to, I don't know, find a way to squeak up on top. Is Appalachian State really the favorite in this match?
What did Sean Clark say last week?
I don't know.
You mess with the bull.
Did he say that?
You get the horns. While App State is already bowl eligible, this is the feather in the cap, the exclamation mark to put them over the edge and really improve their bowl game hopes. In addition to that, James Madison is coming into this game with all the noise, all the distractions of game day, the NCAA, Shane Metlin's constant tweeting and writing about all of it. This is the game, like Shane said, this is the trap game. And I think that App State plays up. James Madison tries to coast through it. And coasting against App State is not going to end well. And so I like the Nears to win the game.
Very nice. All right. So Shane's like kind of on the fence. It could be 50-50. You're like the Nears. I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to say the Dukes kind of pull themselves out of the smoldering crater with the W. It's like nothing but destruction and chaos and fire and brimstone. And then just at the end, Kurt Signetti's just by himself on a pile of bones, smoking a cigar going, game over. All right. That's fine. So much later in the day. Actually, 1 hour later. Yeah. Texas State makes a trip to Jonesboro to visit Arkansas State. Arkansas State 5-5, Texas State 6-4. You can watch this game on ESPN Plus, 2 p.m. Bobcats are a 3.5-point favorite, that sounds about right. Let me tell you something that you guys might not have known. You might have known that Texas State has defeated Arkansas State the last 3 times they've faced. But did you know that in each of those games, the deficit was 2 points? 3 consecutive 2-point wins over Arkansas State, which I find a little bit incredible. I don't know even how statistically possible that is, but that's how close those games have been. Now we got a game where Texas State, I don't know, they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. That is their actual pattern for the last 5 or 6 weeks now. Now, if the pattern holds, they beat Arkansas State. But Arkansas State really needs this victory. They need it at home. They need it in front of the home crowd. Butch Jones would really like to seal that deal, maybe get some of his critics off his back, say, look what I've done. I brought you guys a bowl game. I told you to trust the process. I put the recruiting into the crock pot. It's simmering, and look, the meal is almost done. Thibodeau, I know you like the Bobcats. Like, just in general, you like the Bobcats.
Viva.
Are the Bobcats going to spoil the day for Arkansas State?
Not a chance. I love some Boobcats.
I know you
but
do.
I think Arkansas State, especially being at home right now, they're the hot team, and they have just enough and have kind of found their identity to take care of business.
Yeah.
The water feature stays intact. The Bobcats are not jumping into it to celebrate win number 7. Because I'm telling you, I said when the Bobcats hit 5 and they hit that skid, it's been a great year, but I think we're done. I don't see where Texas State can win either of these last 2 games and limp into the postseason with 6 wins.
Ooh, and wouldn't that be a full circle moment for Texas State, who have already been denied once in their history after having 6 wins? So you kind of think that they really want to get the 7th win, Shane. I mean, surely G.J. Kinney is like, listen, let's not put any doubt. Let's not leave any doubt in the air. Let's mitigate all risks. Let's get that 7th win. Let's do it against the Red Wolves, who are a pain in our asses. Let's get it done. Shane, what's your analysis?
I'm sort of with Tibbs.
Okay.
I think the Red Wolves are going to pull it out. Like I said, they've got a little bit more to play for. Jeremy's working really hard to turn this into a rivalry.
I've been working so hard, guys.
and maybe some of his fellow Red Wolves have bought into that, and know that there's some people who've left Jonesboro for San Marcos.
Yeah.
They're going to be fired up. I've heard that the Arkansas State Master of Hunting has made a declaration to keep people from shooting the ducks until after the game's over.
Yeah.
Which should help the crowd.
That might have been a forged document. We haven't authenticated
I
that yet.
I tend to believe that's completely real and a completely real position. And I think it's going to make a difference.
Here's the thing too. It's deer hunting season and it's duck hunting season in Arkansas. So that is really probably the 2 biggest obstacles in this game right now. And
they can just use the upper row of the stadium as like a blind. They can set up, bring the shotguns into the stadium. They're facing out. They're not endangering the players.
Can't they get some ducks into that waterfall?
You know what? I can put in some decoys and maybe get some ducks out there. That is a good idea. I might recommend that to Arkansas Athletic Director Jeff Purinton. And maybe we can make that happen. Guys, this is why I work with you, because I get such great tips.
It can be like, sometimes places will have something like, there's a big raffle for the students, but you have to wait till the 4th quarter before it happens. It can be sort of like, you get to take a shot at a duck in our waterfall, but you have to check in at the start of the 4th quarter.
I'm pretty sure we did that promotion one year where if you had a chance of winning a deer stand. I'm pretty sure we did that. And I think it was a successful promotion. So maybe we should do that again. All right, guys, good. I'm glad I'm getting this positive energy for you guys. I've been real nervous about this game. All right, so a half hour after that kickoff, another game that has implications kind of for both teams, but especially for one. Louisiana, 5-5. They've been stuck on 5 for 3 weeks now. They're at Troy, 8-2, 2:30 on the NFL Network. Always cracks me up. The Trojans are 16.5-point favorites. Listen, now, lost in this brouhaha with James Madison and the NCAA is the fact that Troy is just kind of grossly underrated right now. I mean, if you look at how they've been playing these last 5 weeks, it's just domination on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. These guys are just getting stronger as the week progresses. And that's what, when you look at a team that's a real championship team, it's not a team that limps into the end of the year. We're not talking like a team like Marshall. This is a team, it's a teams that just seem to get better and better every week. And that's what Troy is. Troy is just a strong ass team. And they really need to start getting some more looks from at least the AP. They didn't get a single vote in the AP top 25, which I thought was egregious. I'm going to start bitching and complaining about that. Gunnar Watson is getting that offense to be almost just as good as that defense. Meanwhile, Louisiana has lost 2 straight. They want to become bowl eligible. They have to go through Troy. That's really tough. And then they face their arch nemesis, ULM, to end the year. Oh, my God. Tibbs, is Louisiana going to get this 6-game cheddar, or are they doomed?
Depends.
Oh, okay.
What Troy team shows up?
Oh,
if it's the Troy team that beat South Alabama, Cajuns are done. If it's the Troy team that played Texas State, again, they're done. Honestly, if it's the Troy team that was at ULM last week, Cajuns are probably going to steal that win from them because Troy did not really play up to Troy standards. They just kind of did enough, went through the motions to get the win. With that said, I still can't count out Coach D and Chandler Fields behind center that, the Cajuns are definitely going to be dangerous, but I still like Troy to get the win on this one.
Yeah, I think it's fun to imagine that the Cajuns are going to cause some trouble here. I just can't see it happening. Shane, do you see it happening? Am I just missing something that obviously Thibodeau has seen?
No, I'm with you. I think Troy's going to handle this one. I think they're just a better team. Louisiana's not bad, but I wouldn't read too much into last week. That's kind of classic trap game, not to offend you Warhawks, but
oh God,
it's just, you're not going to bring it your absolute best every week. And I'm with you, Jeremy. Why isn't Troy more in this conversation about which group of 5 teams should be ranked? Like, I think a lot of it has to do going back to that Kansas State game. The score got lopsided, but that happened late. It was a competitive game into the second half. I think that score was misleading, but most people just look at it and think, okay, Troy's doing well in the Sun Belt, but what would they do in another conference? And
their only other loss is a top 25 loss.
Both their losses are top 25 losses.
I agree. Yeah, I think Troy's kind of getting the short end of the stick, while James Madison's getting all the press. Troy's just kind of doing their business. Who knows? Maybe at the end of the season, somebody will notice. I hope so.
Yeah. Imagine if we were in a scenario where some of those teams, like a Tulane, gets a second loss, and we were looking at a Sun Belt championship game where the winner of Troy, James Madison, had the best shot of going on.
That would be great.
That would have been a fun scenario, and we should be a lot closer to that than we are.
What an ideal world. Speaking of an ideal world, at least how we envisioned it at the beginning of the season, was Marshall and South Alabama sort of being atop of their respective divisions, right? We thought Marshall was going to be playing for a title. We thought South Alabama could be playing for a title. Instead, they meet on the last week of the season at 4 p.m. ESPN Plus. They're both 5-5, and they've both won their last respective games. So they're both sort of riding a little bit of momentum. The Jags are a 10.5-point favorite, which I know, Tibbs, you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear about anything about the Jags because the Jags hurt you again and again and again. But being that this game is being played in Mobile, do the Jags have the edge, let alone do they have even a 10-point edge here over Marshall, who seemed to find some offensive bursts last week?
They have every advantage possible. It's at home.
Yes.
They have the governor leading the way. They got Carter Bradley back. They have Webb in the backfield. Colin Lacey at the wide receiver position.
True.
Doesn't matter.
Oh.
The Herd have a Pennington behind center, and that's why the Herd and the Huff Shuffle are moving on to 6 wins.
Cole Pennington didn't have a great game. I don't think he threw a touchdown. I think he threw a pick. I think he threw
His first pass was a pick.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. It was really the Allie Jennings show, right? He was nice enough to score 3 touchdowns. The shade is the Marshall just sort of ride on a high of the 75 celebration and get that win. And will they kind of be back to who they normally are when they hit South Alabama? Or is Marshall kind of suddenly for real again?
I don't know. It might be something to build on. I mean, Ali's looking more like himself.
Yeah.
You made that switch to Pennington, who maybe ceiling isn't as high as some other guys. But, yeah, his first pass is a pick. He's solid after that. He's not spectacular, but he's solid.
I mean, he's like 15 of 20. That's pretty good.
20, 200 yards. It's fine. That's what we said all along that Marshall needed from their quarterback. And they weren't getting it from an injured Cam Fancher. And maybe they'll be okay. I mean, maybe, he's been out there playing at game speed for 60 minutes now. Maybe we see a little bit of a jump from him this week too. I think Marshall's got a chance in this one.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like though that all the reasons Tibbs listed that the Jags will win this game, even though he then said it won't matter because they are the Jags. I do feel like they have every reason to win this game. So I'm going to go with South Alabama, even though I don't feel good about either team. So there's that. Guys, do you remember when Georgia Southern was like, I don't know, the most exciting team in the Sun Belt? They had Davis Brin and they had White at running back and they could play defense and they could play offense. And it looked like maybe Clay Helton was making a run for at least Sun Belt East domination. Remember that, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times last year.
It was this year too. No, it was this year. They got to 6 wins. It was like, man, these guys are really rolling. And now I don't know what to think of these guys. Old Dominion, 4-6 at Georgia Southern, 6-4, 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus. The Eagles are a 6-point favorite, which tells me that people are beginning to respect the weirdness of Old Dominion. Shane, I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. The problem I think with Georgia Southern is that defense just isn't as good as it was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I'm with you about not really knowing what to expect in this one. Because you don't really know what to expect from Old Dominion either. Like, it's been real up and down for them. We all thought they had a real shot to make it a game with Liberty, and
nothing.
And then they just really laid an egg in the first half.
Yeah,
and I still think maybe they respond pretty well. They've got a shot to make a bowl game, which would be a good step in the right direction for Ricky Ronnie this season, especially with the uncertainty they've had at quarterback this year. But I just feel like, Georgia Southern's probably the slightly better team, but also a little inconsistent. I honestly just do not know who to pick in this one. I'll go with the home team just because.
The home team's always a good. All right, so Georgia Southern, they lose to Texas State. Since getting their 6th win, they lose to Texas State. They lose to Marshall. Now they got Old Dominion. We don't know what motivates Old Dominion. Is it victory? Is it Bitcoin? Is it astrological signs? We just don't know. Tibbs, is Old Dominion weird enough to beat Georgia Southern?
Yes, for sure they're weird enough to do it. Are they going to, though? No. Why? Because Georgia Southern fans are out ordering from the funbeltpodcast.com shop website. They're ordering the Put Irk in t-shirts.
Are they? That's great.
And so when they win, there's no trophy involved, but they're all going to be surrounding Hilton at midfield, wearing the Put Irk t-shirts in. Everyone's cheering. They're victorious. It's another win for Georgia Southern. They go diving into Eagle Creek. It's a glorious day, but a win for Georgia Southern.
Nice. All right, that is penetrating analysis. I love it. You know what? I think the mystical properties of Eagle Creek, I think it somehow shields Georgia Southern from ODU strangeness, and I think they do come away with that win. Last game of the evening, guys. It's on ESPN2, 7 p.m. Georgia State 6-4 over number 15 Louisiana. I think they're 8-2.
8.
Yeah. Tigers are a 31.5-point favorite, and I will ask you guys this point blank: are the Panthers dead? The Panthers were the first team in the Sun Belt, guys. To officially achieve bowl eligibility. There's another team out there that was probably got the wins quicker than Georgia State, but they're just not bowl eligible. I mean, rules are rules, right? So Georgia State, since hitting bowl eligibility, has not won a game since. 3 straight losses, and they look completely cooked. Shane, are the Panthers cooked? Should we be eating Panther meat for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, I'm not going to say 100% sure for the remainder of the season.
Okay, all right.
We talked about how weird ODU is, and they've still got that one in front of them. So I'm not going to make a prediction on that one quite yet. But this is not good timing for the Panthers.
No, this is horrible timing for the Panthers. Why?
We saw what quarterbacks like Joey Aguilar, like Jordan McLeod, have done to them.
Yes.
What is Jaden Daniels going to do against this team in the probably the only half that he plays?
That Panthers defense, Shane, is not good. But you know who else hasn't been good? Darren Granger. In the last 3 games, all losses, he has thrown for 152, 82, and 157 yards. Now, I know that he kind of can do things with his legs too, but those aren't good quarterback numbers. So, Thibodeau, what's going on with the Panthers? Why are they just suddenly bad?
Well, in seasons past, it's been that they were slow out of the gate and hot at the beginning.
Yeah.
Remember at Sunbelt Media Day, we asked Sean Elliott, what's it going to take for you to come out of the gate hot? And he did it, but then he forgot to finish the season. This game's going to be ugly. This is right on par with that ULM Ole Miss game. I mean, LSU is 11 consecutive wins in night games. They just put it on Florida. They're pissed that they're probably out of the national title contention with their 2 losses. So they are going to roll on the bayou there in the Red Stick.
All fairness to the Panthers, they do have a short history of playing the SEC well and even beating the SEC, having had that big victory over Tennessee a couple years ago. I don't know if Sean Elliott and the Panthers have that in them this time. But, maybe never count out Sun Belt heat. Who knows? Maybe LSU's overlooking this game. I hate to frame it like that. The Panthers just haven't given me any hope that they can pull out this victory. And that, guys, congratulations. That is another successful edition of Second and Short. Boom goes the gong. Well done, boys.
Yeah. I just want to know, how did you remember that Georgia State had beaten Tennessee? I mean, was there a statue or a banner or where were you able to pull that from the interwebs?
It's just one of those games that stuck in my head. I was listening to it on the radio. I think I was driving from Jonesboro after a game. I was like, oh my God, this is kind of incredible. Way to go, Georgia State. But yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Anything else before we go to plugs, promos, and parting shots?
I'm ready.
Go for it, Jeremy.
All right. Hey, so one thing I noticed about the James Madison plight is really how the Virginia state government has sort of gotten on the ball here. I don't know if they have any chance of changing any minds, but there's some juice in the government that says, hey, James Madison, we've got your back. Dusty, do you think that this situation that happened to the Warhawks with the Louisiana legislature, would they move a finger to help out the Warhawks in this case?
Hell no.
No. Arkansas
It's
State,
LSU or bust.
yeah. At Arkansas, if this happened to Arkansas State, it'd be like, rules is rules, buddy. Hey, go Hogs. So congratulations to James Madison. You've got people. You know what the song says? I've got friends in all the right places. And you've got friends in the right places, James Madison. Way to go. I don't know if you're going to win this fight, but you have found out who your friends are.
You've hit on Virginia having a little bit different vibe than a lot of these SEC states, where it's just different. There's the fact that the flagship school probably culturally is more similar to Vanderbilt than Tennessee.
Oh.
In some ways.
All right.
And, it might be a little bit different if we were still in the Beamer Vic Virginia Tech days, but we're not really there anymore. And there's also Virginia has some very distinct geographic regions, and the Shenandoah Valley is JMU's region. And there's that mountain there that kind of separates them from everybody else. And that's still important to the politics of the state. That you don't want to lose that region, or you don't want to lose the Hampton Roads region, where ODU is still very prominent part of that whole region, as opposed to just one school completely dominating the entire state. And it's definitely a different vibe here than I think a lot of, especially SEC states.
Yes, me no understand your words.
Very much so.
Yeah.
On that note, pile on there, Shane. What do you have for plug promo parting shot?
Well, my parting shots, I got to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed. I was in talks to be the guest picker. This has been a little bit of a secret. I lowered my usual personal appearance rate to only 50,000.
Okay. Hey,
I thought I was going to get it, and then they go with somebody called Puffco Mentor or something like that. I don't know. And I'm not that. I was bracing myself because I'd heard they were going to get a gigantic celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it was going to be a huge deal, and then I find out that it's just another podcaster.
Oh no!
And yeah, so I'm a little upset. It felt like
Okay.
it could have been me representing the Fun Belt podcast on there, but instead it's something I don't know. People maybe have heard of. I don't know if anybody listens to Pardon My Take or whatever it's called with Puffco Commenter. But
Is this something the young people are listening to?
I don't know. But
it doesn't sound familiar to me.
But I will probably get over my disappointment someday. But right now I'm just a little bit sad.
I remember listening to Tim Brando talking about how horrible it was that 21 Pilots was playing at the college playoff football halftime or whatever they were playing at some big event. He had no idea who 21 Pilots was. That's how I feel right now about this personality that's coming over to James Madison. Maybe this person's super cool, and I'm just out of the loop.
I like to think that Shane's going to have his own insurrection and just trip the guy going up the stairs, push him down, and go up there anyway.
Got to do what was that moment with Taylor Swift, and who was the guy who comes up and says,
Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye. You can pull a Kanye. With all due respect, I'm Shane Mellon, Fun Belt Podcast. You don't belong here.
That's all you have? You haven't gone and tackled Corso or Herb Street?
No, I haven't met those guys yet. Tomorrow.
Big time. Jeremy, you had mentioned a while back that new head basketball coach for Arkansas State, Brian Hodgson, was not very happy with you for maybe misquoting or misrepresenting what he had said.
I'm not always 100% accurate with my quotes, and he was a little rankled, I thought, by that. Maybe not. Maybe that's his personality, but I think he was a little put out.
I congratulate you, Jeremy.
Oh, okay.
You are not alone.
Ooh.
You are a trendsetter. The NFL reporter, Charissa Thompson,
Yeah.
admitted that there's times where she can't talk to the coaches or the players at halftime or pregame because they're too busy. They don't come out. They come out too late, whatever. So she would just make up what they said.
You know what's funny about that? I saw the headlines and kind of moved past it. One, I don't give a shit. I don't care what happens on those sideline reports. But two, obviously the coaches didn't care either because she's the one breaking the story, right? It's not like a coach going, "Hey, I didn't tell her that we have to give 110% and give us an extra effort or whatever it is." They never said anything. It was her. She finally was the one that said, "Yeah, I'm making all this up." So I see some people were like really put out. And I was like, what's the big deal here?
Yeah, I just saw it and I immediately thought of you, Jeremy.